Blessings and welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Today we're in First Thessalonians, and tomorrow we're going to be in Second Thessalonians. Paul sends this letter to the church that they had started, and then they left, and so he's writing a letter back to this church to encourage them, and it's a good letter. Some people had tried to come in and confuse them, just like we've seen the last couple of days, where the Jews come in and try and tell them, yeah, aside from Paul's teaching, you still need to get circumcised. And Paul's like, you know, just vehemently against that. And we've seen why. And so anyway, in chapter 1, verse 10, it says, and to wait for his Son from heaven, whom he raised from the dead, that is Jesus, who rescues us from the wrath to come. Now, I liked this verse and I thought it was really important because as law enforcement officers, a lot of times we play the role of the person who does the rescuing. But here, we are the ones who need to be rescued. And sometimes it's difficult for us to make that leap over to the other side because we're cops. We're the ones who rescue, and we don't need to be rescued. Not if you don't, let me offend you. If you hear this and that's not you, then that's not you. But being a law enforcement officer for 30 years and working in some pretty rough parts of some big cities, I've seen that a lot. So that's just what comes to mind. But anyway, again, it says Jesus who rescues us from the wrath to come. Um, he rescues us, and we may not think about it. We really do need rescuing. We don't just become a Christian, go to church, kind of like joining a social club that, the goal of this social club is to just to live a better life and to be a better person and to act better and be friendlier and kinder. Those things are all fruit of becoming a Christian. But the Christian life is so much more important and urgent and necessary. Um, Other people outside of Christendom, they need rescuing. Once we've been rescued, and man, it's like a flood has come in, and once we have been rescued, there's other people that are being washed away that now we need to help rescue them. And this isn't a social club. It's important. It's hugely important. We need to be rescued, and once we've been rescued, we've got work to do. Okay, this is code 3, sense of urgency. And then jumping down in chapter 2, verse 2, the verse says, but after we had already suffered and been mistreated in Philippi, as you know, we had the boldness in our God to speak to you the gospel of God amid such opposition. Now, you could easily read over that and just go, okay, what's the next verse? But I think it's important for us to recognize the way this one-year Bible read has laid out is chronological order. And what the exact thing Paul is talking about here, how he had already suffered and been mistreated in Philippi, that was the story we read yesterday out of Acts chapter 16. We read the exact account of what happened. And here he is writing about it again later in First Thessalonians. And I love the confirmation of that, how there's a chronological order. And it's really kind of like confirmation, that happened, and here it is. And then verse 12, it says, so you would walk in a manner worthy of God, who calls you into his own kingdom and glory. That you should walk in a manner worthy of God. How do we walk in a manner worthy of God? Well, once we've been saved, just like that rescue part, there are things that we need to do. And as law enforcement officers, walking those out and rescuing other people, that is walking in a manner worthy of God. Those are the things he's called us to. We don't just get head knowledge and we sit in a pew on Sundays and then Monday through Saturday we live however we want to. We doubt ourselves daily and we live for Jesus Christ and we walk in a manner worthy of God. Chapter 4, verse 9, it says, now Now, as to the love of the brethren, you have no need for anyone to write to you, for you yourselves are taught by God to love one another. Um, God has, man, once we're saved, we are loved by God. He loved us so much that he sent his only son to die on a cross for us. That's how much he loves us. But once we are saved, we know his love and he loves us and we love him. And we're to show that love to others. And that goes back to walking in a manner worthy of God. We love others. Um, and it is constantly revealed to us. When it says love one another, you love your neighbor. And your neighbor are the people of your jurisdiction, maybe just your beat, who you spend time with. Those are your neighbors. Anyone that calls 911 for assistance or help, those are your neighbors, and those who you're called to help, along with your family and your next door neighbors, acquaintances. And then real quick, chapter 5, verses 1 through 14. There was a lot of reading today. Doesn't this sound like the job of a law enforcement officer? These two verses, I'm going to read this to you and think about it. And just think about this being a requirement or on a job application for a law enforcement officer. We urge you, brethren, admonish the unruly, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with everyone. See that no one repays another with evil for evil, but always seek after that which is good for one another and for all people. And that's a great law enforcement verse. Admonish the unruly. Man, that's our job. See that no one repays evil for evil, but seek and do good for one another and for all people. That's our job. Love that verse. So, like I said, tomorrow we're in 2 Thessalonians. Um, Look forward to getting back here tomorrow and see if we get a law enforcement takeaway. And in the meantime, be safe.